Assalamu alaikum and good morning, ladies and gentlemen, honorable speakers, distinguished guests, and worthy participants. I welcome you all on behalf of the Institute of Regional Studies. We begin today's event with a recitation from the Holy Quran.
الرحمن الرحيم قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد.
Jazakallah. We are gathered here to have an interactive deliberations on this very pertinent and very sensitive subject of IIOJ&K, a valley with no rights. A valley where hopes of peace and freedom for the past 75 years has turned into deep light of cries that still awaits justice. The coming of BJP in power under Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the abrogation of their special status in 2019 has further outdid the torment of Kashmiris by putting their independent identity into question. The systematic polarization of politics has made the region deeply divisive and their rights under siege. So therefore, without much ado, I'll introduce the chair, Ambassador Najma Saqib. Ambassador Najma Saqib had been a career diplomat in the Foreign Services of Pakistan since 1985. In September 2020, he honorably retired from the government services. Ambassador Najma Saqib served as High Commissioner of Pakistan in South Africa. He had been a Director General at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, looking after Iran, Turkey, Central Asian Republics, and ECO. He served as Ambassador of Pakistan to Cuba. He had been Director in charge of Kashmir Affairs, SARC, and European Affairs. Ambassador Najma Saqib has authored 7 books in 3 languages. Sir, I invite you for the opening address and the moderation of the session. Thank you.
Thank you, Humaira. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. 3 years have passed by. 5th August 2019, while I was coming here at the invitation of Ambassador Nadeem Riaz to be a participant of this very important session, I was thinking, what has changed in these 3 years? This 35A and 370 and merging of a disputed territory into Indians' domain. And I came to know suddenly, I realized that nothing has changed. For instance, have the people of India actually accepted the disputed territory of Jammu and Kashmir as a part of India? Have the people of Pakistan accepted 370 and 35A? Has the Security Council of the United Nations struck off this agenda item? Has the world actually recognized Jammu and Kashmir as an integral part of India? Answer to all these questions is a big no. What has changed? To me, nothing has changed. The valiant people of Kashmir, the princes like Burhan Wani, since late 1989, the struggle is on. Ambassador Nadeem Riaz told me that that was the idea. That what is happening in the valley right now, especially after passing of 3 years since August 2019. And for that very purpose, ladies and gentlemen, you are here. On behalf of IRS, I welcome all of you in this very important session. Perhaps when you leave, you will be a little more informed about the single most important issue, dispute facing the South Asian region. It is going to be an interactive session. We have two very eminent panelists, speakers who would be speaking on some relevant subjects. I will just be there, just like you, listening to them and trying to understand the latest dynamics of this dispute. To begin with, I think I would request Dr. Waleed Rasool to take the podium. Either he can start speaking from there or he can come here. And he will be telling us about a very technical subject. We have been hearing about this demographic change. Perhaps India has decided that in the years to come, it will actually hold a plebiscite. It will actually be following the relevant resolutions of the United Nations Security Council. So this is just a theory. Let's see the linkages between Geneva Convention and the demographic so-called change in the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir. Dr. Waleed Rasool.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Ambassador Nadeem Saab, Ambassador Anjum Saqib Saab, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Omnipresent, omnipowerful or omniscient, sirf Almighty Allah hai. And that is the basic foundation जिसमें कमजोर अक़वाम जो है वो सर्वाइव कर रहे हैं. Actually, I have an exclusive research on the demographies of Indian occupied Kashmir, and I carried out this study since 1947. When the first census was carried in 1946 in the state of Jammu and Kashmir. Since it is a lengthy and exhaustive subject, but for learners, I will just go to the quantitative data of post-2011 census, which was carried by India in occupied Kashmir. It was 1.25 crore from Indian occupation side. And when they directly announced that on 5th August 2019, that Jammu Kashmir is not now a state, but a union territory of India. There are already 9 union territories in the India, and the present state of Indian occupied Kashmir is now one among that, which is directly controlled by New Delhi, including 32 other states. Now, it is an interesting subject that they bifurcated the state. They removed the Ladakh area, which is the biggest geographically area from the Jammu and Kashmir state. So there was a demographic shift of 6 lakh people in the demography of the Jammu and Kashmir on post 5th August 2019. Number one. Number two, there are 10 districts in Jammu and 10 districts in Valley. Our population in Valley was 57% as compared to Jammu. If you understand the dynamics of the geography of the Indian occupied Kashmir, it is very much interesting. Interesting in the sense, our 735 kilometers border are with Pakistan, which we called LOC. And there is 150 kilometers where from this side Pakistan, there is a permanent border. And from that side, there's a Jammu area, which is an occupied. So it is total 957 kilometers border linking with Pakistan. So this is a geographical relationship of Indian occupied Kashmir with the Pakistan. Number one. Number two, all routes in pre-1947, they were coming to Rawalpindi. Rawalpindi Srinagar Road and Sialkot Jammu Road. These were the main road connections between Indian occupied Kashmir and Pakistan. And there was a small strip of Gurdaspur, which is linking India with the Indian occupied. It is only 26 kilometers. And the entire other area is the Himachal Pradesh area, which is a rough terrain, which cannot connect India with the Indian occupied Kashmir. So this is the first tragedy of the history. Since you are talking always about only the ideological connection of the Pakistan with the Kashmir, and little is known or little is spoken about the geographical connection, geographical affinity, or the development affinity directly with the Indian occupied Kashmir with the Pakistan. Now, another prong, another dimension of this tragedy is there was a state-settle agreement between India and the Pakistan. And Pakistan accepted the state-settle agreement in 14 August 1947. India denied. So here the first tragedy takes place in our development. And it is ironic also that Mr. Modi talks that it is why we annexed Jammu and Kashmir, there will be the more development as compared to the previous one. So when you are talking now what happened in post 5th August 2019, the demographic shift trickled down. How? 57% population of the valley as compared, when I am talking the valley, since scholars are here, Indian occupied Kashmir is divided into 3 divisions. Jammu, Kashmir, which is the central, and the Ladakh. Ladakh is extreme north. Valley is in the center. Jammu is extreme south, which links Punjab with the Jammu and Kashmir Valley. These are the 3 divisions. Now, what they did, when they brought the demographic shift in the contours of the population, what it changed? It changed the constitutional arrangement of the Jammu Kashmir political landscape also. They brought 57% population of the valley as compared to 47% population of the Jammu. And there were only 46 seats to Jammu and 52 seats to valley. Now these 46 seats of the Jammu, since there is 50-50 population between Hindu and remaining Muslims, and Muslims are scattered. When they brought the shift, there will be no representation of the Muslims in the Jammu. It is the same scenario which has been happening when Quaid-e-Azam demanded that Muslims shall be given the representation in India, equal representation, not on the basis of the Muslim identity. So we can resume as a Muslim identity in United India, but India denied that. And same they did in Indian occupied Kashmir. Now when you are studying any subject empirically, you have to develop the relationship between whether India did it first time. No. They did earlier in 7 states, whom you called 7 sisters. They brought the demographic shift in Assam and divided Assam in the 5 states. Meghalaya and other 5 states. Assam, the Muslim populations of Assam were shifted. And same was done in the West Punjab also. They divided Punjab into Haryana, and a portion was given to Himachal Pradesh, so that Sikh population was brought under tension. So this is a systematic, scientific, and linear module how India works to keep both international support intact, that we are doing it the demographic shift is not done, but it is an arrangement as India did. Now, what is the big problem for Indian occupied Kashmir? Since I belong to this area, I am from Valley. The big tragedy is we have been failed so far to say who is aggressor and who is aggressor. In international phenomena, India is being considered as aggressive one. The media talks that, look, the Mujahideen, the militants, and we have been killed by Pakistani Mujahideen, and we are very much in hot water. And they have been succeeded to promote this narrative internationally. So the discourse of narrative shifted totally and entirely, that who is aggressive internationally, I'm speaking, not in the contours of the Pakistan and the Indian occupied Kashmir. Here is story different. But particularly it matters who are movers and shakers of the geopolitics and who matter in the equivalence of the international power who will support us. So the number one fundamental problem is that we have not been succeeded. Though Kashmir is neither a successionist movement nor a separatist movement, it is purely a legitimate movement as per United Nations resolutions and supported by international law. That is movement of right to self-determination. But when I related the same subject with the Bosnia, and present president of America was speaking that the Bosnian people have right, and I have this video also, he says that when anybody enters in any home and he humiliates their children and the sons of the soil, he has the right to fight back as per international law. So we have not succeeded to give legitimate cover to that resistance, which is genuine, which is legitimate, and which has support of United Nations and the international court. Now, the other, when you are talking about any subject, there are other intervening variables and the confronting variables. So any subject is of multinational dimension. Since today my subject was only just to talk about the delimitations issue and the doctrine of the Ajit Doval, how they maneuvers. So I will discuss with Ambassador Saab later on. I am working on a paper to have a relationship between Kashmir and other northeast states, how they implemented a particular module and how they annexed those states in the Indian Union. Now it is interesting for the research scholar. They have not touched any northern state until 1975. And the Sikkim was the last state which was annexed by the India. What they did, they only provided their support to those states which were linking with the geography of the Pakistan. For example, Hyderabad, Junagadh and Kashmir. And they kept dormant those resistance struggles which were on the northeastern side. And they dealt them with scientifically, politely, calmly, and politically. It's a very interesting story by the Indian, how Indian doctrine works. And there is no raw emotions. They are calm and composed. It is why when we study it in theoretical contours, we say Dam, Sam, Dand, and Bhed. These are the classical, empirical module of, realistic module of the India upon which they are working. Now, what we are facing today, it is the Dam and Dand. Da means you are purchasing your people. They purchased Sheikh Abdullah. Now you have an interesting story for students who know the geopolitics and the current situation of the India and the Pakistan. They lured Sheikh Abdullah 1947 to 1953 on the nisab that I will give an independent nation. And Sheikh Abdullah was convinced that, but what was the one-pronged strategy of the India in 1947? That was to keep Pakistan at bay by Kashmiris themselves. A very interesting story. And from 1947 to 1953, they made him prime minister and also president. And then they jailed him, they put him behind, but despite he was a best friend of Jawaharlal Nehru. And when he returned to power in 1975, when he was 72 years old. Very interesting. And number three, definitely when you bring the shift, now what you have to do? You are scheduling 7 seats to the scheduled tribes, but you are putting a law that Kashmiris will not contest on those election seats which are being granted to scheduled castes and the scheduled tribes. It means when 53 seats were granted in the legislative assembly to the Kashmiri people, now we will remain in the minority. We have to contest only in 46 seats. Only in 46 seats amount from 87 seats. Because all Jammu provincial seats will go towards India, towards the BJP, because next elections are coming on. But this is the all story. Now, what is the way forward? This is very complex situation when you are caught in the conflict. Number one, that is deduction. You are analyzing the current information, present information, that is the demographic contours I have given to you. Now you are giving some conclusion on the basis of the deduction, that is current available information, which I have given to you. Now you have to apply the inductive module also. The facts, observations, and the experiments. What they already did, what has been their doctrine to run the Indian hegemon on the basis to cover her democratic face internationally, to be a ruthless actor internally, and to kill their enemy while keeping the international people, the same people, the international community at bay. It is a very interesting module of the India. Now, how you have to understand this Brahman, how is this Brahman works. Despite her budget is $72 billion military budget, it is the 4th biggest military budget currently in the world, 4th biggest. Number two, in 2027, India will surpass China in the population. The UN demographic, statistics will be in front of you. And recently, UN published the demography in which they concluded that India will surpass in population in 27. Now, this year, my elders, Ambassador Nadeem and Ambassador Anjum, they knowing that this year they also moved a resolution that they shall be granted the permanent membership in the United Nations. That was deferred because of multi reasons. But when she will surpass in 27 in her population, and followed by the 4th biggest economy. Presently, India is the 5th biggest economy of the world. How she can be kept away from the permanent membership of the United Nations. So this is a food for thought. The scholars who don't live in the nostalgia, but they develop a futuristic approach, what is going to happen in the future. So now we have limited time. As a Kashmiri from Srinagar, my family, all family is there. We are at the brink of collapse. There is no iota of doubt in it. And we don't have any other option except we wish that Pakistan should be strong, stable, and sustained state. But since I am here, I know multiple reasons up to which a state can go and how they can help. But I will give a one clue that is very important clue for the great scholars who will be the future drivers of this nation from this policy institute. General Shah Beg was a brigadier when he was assigned a job to train the Mukti Bahani in 1975 in the Bangladesh. And he was training the Mukti Bahani against Pakistan. But when they trained Mukti Bahani, and never till date, only the Modi once and Ajidul once accepted that we divided the Bangladesh, since they were concealing this information officially, despite Pakistan was known, it was the handwork of the Mukti Bahani and the Indian agencies. But it is not the only militancy. The Chakma and the LTT, these both militancies were supported by the India, and also 9 rebellions movement also. General Shah Beg was in charge of the training to train the Mukti Bahani in the Bangladesh. Now, what is the difference? Difference is this, that Mukti Bahani created the havoc in Bangladesh, and that was the basis when Pakistan was divided by the India. And it was against the United Nations resolutions for which United, because you have created the sovereignty, you dented the sovereignty of any independent state. The Chapter 7 was not revoked at that time also, despite it was a sovereign right of the Pakistan. When General Shah Beg was supporting the Mukti Bahani, it was supported by 2 division armed forces of India, and Bangladesh was separated. And same General Shah Beg then was promoted as a lieutenant general, and same general was military commander of Sikh rebellion, Sikh militancy. When Operation Blue Star in 1984, he was commanding General Bhindranwale's militant wing, and then he was killed during that operation. Now, what is the difference? The rebellion created by the Mukti Bahani was the same rebellion created by the Kashmiri people while consuming 100,000 people in it, our entire 3rd generation. Now we are reigning in 4th, 5th generation, consuming entire 3rd generation. But when you are studying the demographics, then you have to remove the children from it, the women and the old men. Then you have to focus only the youth. Among 9 lakh youth, we have lost 1 lakh youth. That means 14% of our youth population that is responsible for our next generation. 14% of our youth population has been digested in this freedom struggle. That is a huge cost by any nation. Now, what is the difference? Difference is this, that General Shah Beg was not supported by any state. So Sikh rebellion, despite strong from martial race, Sikh is a martial race, Sikh regiment is an important regiment in Indian armed forces. But since they were not supported by the Indian state, so they failed to give independence to Western Punjab. This is the difference. So our whole focus is that how Pakistan is the strong, sustainable state by all dimensions, economically, militarily. That means both hard power and soft power. I have to conclude on this. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Waleed Rasool. If I have to summarize what my colleague has just said, that there is a design by India, New Delhi, and we need to see the method in the madness which is going on in the valley. When they say that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part and this is for all of you who are studying Kashmir or any territorial dispute in their colleges, universities, or research centers, I have a question to all of you. I have been hearing for decades what India has been maintaining, that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India. I wonder, have you ever heard that New Delhi is an integral part of India? Have they ever told us that Bihar and UP are the integral parts of India? Or Assam and Mumbai are the integral parts of India? Why only Jammu and Kashmir they have to actually reiterate time and again? What is the reason behind that? Why would they have to tell the whole world, no, 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 Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part of India? Because it is not. If it was, why would you state the obvious? So this is a question for all of you. There is a historical argument. You know, the 6th June plan, the partition was to be done like this, and all those areas where Muslims were in majority were to form part of Pakistan, and all those Hindus, etc. Then there is a legal and diplomatic and political argument. Then there are relevant resolutions of the United Nations Security Council, which says that there has to be a plebiscite in the valley for the people of Kashmir to decide whether they want to go for Pakistan or India. Now, this particular thing that India has been maintaining wrongly, actually declaring the disputed territory of Jammu and Kashmir as its integral part. So my question to all of you is, why India would time and again, every time say this? So there is actually a method in the madness. Now, recently we have seen that not only on the strategic front, diplomatic front, political front, in the elections, that India would like to belittle Pakistan, embarrass Pakistan, may it be the EU Info Lab or the thousands of websites that they have created to say that everything which is happening in Pakistan is wrong. One of the areas where India excels in propagating is the film and art, Bollywood. All, you know, those of you who have seen these movies like, Agni Path and all that, they know that how they actually are telling themselves first. It is wrong to assume that they are propagating. They actually want to convince themselves that Pakistan is bad, number one. Number two, that Jammu and Kashmir is an integral part. To speak on this very important subject, we have a very eminent journalist speaker, Ms. Uruj Seami, with us, who will be dilating upon the Indian designs through media and through Bollywood. And by the way, after this, there will be an interactive session. You will be, I hope that you will be prepared with some pertinent questions. So the house will be open for Q&A. So get ready. And in the meantime, Ms. Uruj Seami.
Assalamu alaikum and good morning. Thank you so much, Ambassador Saab. And it's always a great pleasure and honor for me to speak amongst, mashallah, very potentially professional panel, and then speaking to students and scholars. So to begin with, what is the role of media and how Bollywood is fudging the subject of the abrogation of Article 370A in Kashmir and how they are promoting their narrative? So before I start with my research and views or opinions, let me tell you, it's a word of narrative, and the all wars are being fought with narratives. So I once heard that if you want to win some war, then you create your own narrative and then work on it through your media and then win it. And if we talk about the population, India has a larger population than Pakistan. Or if you talk about the diaspora of population supporting to Kashmir, is actually in minority to a diaspora, which is actually supporting the abrogation of Article 370A in Kashmir. So I'm not here to discuss about the policies. I am actually talking about the lens of media, how media sees the narratives and policies which were being discussed by policymakers and the international forum, how uses to say it. If we talk about illegally Indian occupied Jammu and Kashmir, so we must not forget the subject largely discussed in international forums, that's Nagorno-Karabakh and Palestine. So world is immune to see Kashmir is like issue, just like we have Nagorno-Karabakh, a disputed area between Armenia and Azerbaijan, and then the Palestine. So we must see how world is supporting them. World is not supporting the minor voice. World is not supporting the violation of human rights, but they are not supporting to the voices of media, which are actually raising the issues of human rights violations. We as media see through the lens of violations, policy making, and then issues eruptions within public, due to public, for the public, affecting to public. So if we talk about the role of Bollywood, so how many of you have aware of Netflix? It's the latest media. Everyone must have watching, and watched many Indian and Bollywood documentaries on the issues of Kashmir. And in those documentaries, they are determining the fact that India was right in the abrogation of Article 370 and occupying and violating human rights in Kashmir. So this is the first tool of war which any country can fight with the help of media. But if on the contrary side, if you see how Pakistani media is working to raise this issue on international forums, any of you have seen any documentary, any song, any movie, or any talk show except state-run channel, except PTV? Have you ever seen any talk show, especially on this issue, on private television channel? Though we have more than 200 television channels working, but no television is producing any documentary, any film, any fact-based or violations of human rights-based issues, dramas. Or if you have ever read in any journal, no story. There is no Kashmir story in Pakistani media, but India is lobbying on a larger scale. And they are actually telling people that they are right because they are major in number. And Pakistan, we are minor if you see the population of both the countries, and we are not comparing, but our voices are weak, still weak. And another factor which is weakening our voices is we are not working thoroughly on this issue. We are not raising this issue. Okay, now let's talk about social media. If we see our private channels and our newspapers are not taking this responsibility, okay, fine. So what we are doing individually, because everyone is using social media. And if you talk about Kashmir, your social media account will be banned. I started KashmirTV.com immediately after the abrogation of Article 378 on 5th of August 2019. And you know what happened? My all accounts, my web television channel, my YouTube channel, and my Facebook, Twitter account, they were all shut down, blocked, forcefully blocked. So this is how world is working on their narrative, like they are weakening our voices, but they are strengthening the voices of Indian lobby. And if you travel across the world and there you operate your social media channels or your social media accounts, you are warned by those countries. You are not allowed to talk about Kashmir. And if I actually brought this case of mine to international forum and to the organizations working for digital rights, they all were failed. They said, no, we cannot retrieve your social media accounts or websites because our own stakes are involved in this. So if you talk about Kashmir, you are telling about a valley with no rights. I seriously like this topic, a valley with no rights. And it is the food and the amusement for media. But look what media is doing. Media is not telling you what type of human rights are being observed there, what are violated there. No one will tell you, but only social media or Indian media are media supported by Indian lobby. If you go to any university, college, in any academia, or in any seminar, except 2-3 seminars, which I was actually telling to and discussing with one of my colleagues, that only few think tanks are working on this issue, and except these 3 think tanks, I have never seen this issue being discussed or being portrayed by any university through students. And it should be discussed with students, because you are our future. You have to fight this war, not only with media, but with your social media trends. So Bollywood is producing lots of content, promoting their own narrative against Pakistani narrative. They are promoting their narrative as legal right and legal possession to the world through their social media, through their website, as Ambassador Najam has already mentioned and highlighted. But if some website starts working in Pakistan, it's not allowed to work. So we have to keep this issue alive within ourselves as individual, through our schools, universities, our academies, and in our public-private discussions. And it's a huge responsibility on private media channels to participate with state channel to highlight at least atrocities and brutalities of Indian forces carried on in Indian occupied Kashmir. So I will not take your much time. I know everyone has your own commitments, but I will eagerly welcome your question and answers after Ambassador Najam will allow us. Thank you so much and have a great day. And keep this issue alive. Thank you.
Of course, it is not only the responsibility of any government, and it's in this case Pakistani government, but the responsibility rests on all of us. If we think that nuclear issue, Kashmir issue are the 2 very important issues facing Pakistan's foreign policy and actually what Pakistan stands for. So I think all of us must contribute into it, rather than complaining that, no movie worth its salt has been made so far on Kashmir and all that. So I agree with Ms. Uruj Sayami that it is a collective responsibility that we need to share. And I hope that more and more people will realize their responsibility. Before I Before we move any further, I have to acknowledge the presence of my dear friends, Ambassador Shah Jamal here, who is an expert on Kashmir, but today he said that, he was not feeling well, but he has made it to this session. Thank you very much, Ambassador Shah Jamal. And then I have another dear friend, Fayaz Gilani Saab, who is also, an expert on the South Asian politics and especially Pakistani politics. Now, before we go to the Q&A session, I would, although it is not in the program, but if I may request on behalf of all of us, the President of IRS, this is what happens when you have a friend on the mic, you can surprise your friends. So may I request the President of IRS, Ambassador Nadeem Riaz, to come to the podium. Mr. Nadeem Riaz.
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum and good morning to everyone. Still, you see, we talk a lot about Kashmir. We talk about Kashmir in very general terms. And I just thought that, when I was listening to this particular seminar, I just thought that, we have done a lot of research at this particular institution. And I would like to share some of the things which we basically looked at. And I'll be very brief because this particular thing which I have, if I start speaking on it, it'll take me about 2 hours to go through it. But the basic thing is that in the Q&A, I think it will help you because I guess you normally end up asking very routine and mundane questions. So this particular research which we've done at the Institute, this will put a few things in perspective. Very personally, I feel that Article 370 and 35A are two of the articles which are not really understood well by the people. Article 35A of the Constitution allows the legislature of IIOJ&K to define the state's permanent residence. It's the legislature of IIOJ&K, right? It applies to all Indian occupied Kashmir, including Jammu and Ladakh. This is an important thing which you must keep in mind. The Maharaja of Kashmir in 1927 first passed the law to stop the influx of people from the northern state of Punjab into the area. And after partition this particular law was incorporated into the Indian Constitution in 1954. After the integration of this particular law, those who are living in the state as of 14th May 1954, when the law came into effect, and those who have lived in the state for 10 years anytime since are counted as permanent residents. Okay. In 1956, the Jammu and Kashmir Constitution was adopted and it was ratified the 2/3 permanent resident law. The law basically was designed to protect the state's demographic character, and it empowered the J&K Assembly, to legislate on the permanent residence and privileges that include employment under the state government, acquisition of movable property in the state, settlement of state, and right to scholarships and other form of aid which would be provided by the government. The article did not allow refugees who migrated from West Pakistan and also from India living in that territory to acquire property over there. Under that article, which is Article 6, those refugees were defined as non-permanent residents. Article 35A, as it is known, has been a source of contention between the Muslim majority Valley and the right-wing Hindu BJP party. When this article was abrogated on the 5th of August 2019, this cleared the way for refugees to get permanent residence certificates. This is the most important thing. that now people can buy and move into this particular valley. And if you look at it, what will happen in the long run? If you have, supposedly, if you have a plebiscite after 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, the entire demographic character of the valley would change. And once this character changes, then obviously, what is the result of the plebiscite? I leave to your imagination and thought. A new domicile law was implemented on the 31st of March 2020. It was introduced by the Indian Home Ministry, and under this law, those who have resided for a period of 15 years in Indian administered Kashmir or studied for a period of 7 years and appeared in class 10-12 examinations in educational institutes located in the regions are now eligible to become permanent residents. You can see how systematically and how cleverly they have incorporated and brought about these changes. Then, as per the industrial policy 2016 to 2026, an outsider can get land on lease in occupied Kashmir for a period of 40 years. This can then be extended for a period of 90 years. The delimitation report of 5th May 2022, what does it state? It was appointed to redraw the electoral boundaries in Jammu and Kashmir as per the mandate set by the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019. After the adoption of the State Law 2020, the Indian Home Ministry revoked and replaced over 25 laws in IIOJ&K. Over 25 laws have either been revoked or they have been amended. Changes in the state subject domicile laws were the worst part of the amendments which people are facing since the 5th of August. A new definition of Kashmiri nationality has been devised in the adaptation of State Laws Order 2020. A new criteria, which is, I will quote, who have resided for a period of 15 years in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, or has studied for a period of 7 years and appeared in class 10 to 12 examination in an educational institution located in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, or who is registered as a migrant, by the Relief and Rehabilitation Commissioner in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir can be regarded as a Kashmiri national. We do not know the exact number of people who have benefited from this particular law. There are various figures, and these figures cannot be collaborated. So I leave that to your imagination. And this one very important thing which people always ask where I go, is IIOJ&K occupied territory? Yes, it is an occupied territory. And there is a reason for it. The Security Council has rejected previous attempts by India to change the status of Jammu and Kashmir unilaterally in Resolution 91, 1951 and 22, 1957. Furthermore, Article 42 of the Hague Regulation states that territory is considered occupied when it is actually placed under the authority of a hostile army. The occupation extends only to the territory where such authority has been established and can be exercised. And as you all know, the valley is an open prison. You have close to 1 million Indian security forces there in the garb of trying to bring in any social unrest under them. Plus, please don't forget the Shimla Agreement. The Shimla Agreement still stands, and I quote from it. Pending the final settlement of any of the problems between the two countries, neither side shall unilaterally alter. Neither side can unilaterally alter the situation, nor shall both prevent the organization, assistance, or encouragement of any acts detrimental to the maintenance of peaceful and harmonious relationship. Furthermore, Geneva Convention Article 2 and the various protocols associated with it clearly indicate that IIOJ&K is a territory which is under armed conflict. Furthermore, the Fourth Geneva Convention specifically prohibits demographic changes in any disputed territory. There are various articles, 49.6, 49 article completely. And then I refer to you to the Rome Statute of 1998, which establishes 4 core international crimes: genocide, crime against humanity, war crimes, and the crimes of aggression. Furthermore, Article 8 of the Rome Statutes clearly state the war crimes. Grave breaches of Geneva Convention, namely any of the acts against persons or property protected under the relevant Geneva Conventions, willful killings, torture or inhuman treatment, willful causing great sufferings, willfully depriving a prisoner of war or other protected persons of the right and fair trial, intentionally directing attacks against civilian population or individuals who are not taking part in hostilities. So I hope what I have presented before you clearly establishes 2 or 3 things. One, IIOJ&K is a territory which is disputed. B, the Indian Army and security forces are creating a situation where there could be war crimes. And now, voices among Kashmiris are going to international tribunals. They are going into various countries to project the case of people of Jammu and Kashmir that their rights are being trampled with impunity. So I just thought that, I would like to just put a few facts before you, facts which are supported by documentation, international laws, and international conventions. And we have worked upon them in this particular institution. And I would like again to thank the chair for allowing me the opportunity to present all these facts in front of you. And I'll be more than happy to answer any questions which you have on these. Thank you very much.
मेरी आवाज वैसे ही पहुंच जाती है. The basic argument is that we have a lot of arguments, but who listens to these arguments? I remember in South Africa, हमारी बड़ी कम्युनिटी है वहां पे पाकिस्तानी, तो एक महफिल थी उसमें उन्होंने कहा जी कि इंडियन हाई कमिश्नर जो हैं वो एक खातून थी जिन्होंने इंडियन एक्सटर्नल अफेयर्स में उधर के फॉरेन ऑफिस में पाकिस्तान डेस्क पे काम किया था। इसका मतलब है कि वो पाकिस्तान, कश्मीर, ये वो बड़ी चैंपियन होंगी। तो उन्होंने कहा जी ऐसा करते हैं, टेलीविजन में एक डिबेट करवाते हैं और आपको भी हम बुलाएंगे और उनको भी बुलाएंगे, तो कश्मीर पे बात करते हैं। मैंने कहा बिस्मिल्लाह करो ना यार। तो एक चीज का ख्याल रखना कि ये डिबेट जो भी हो ये लाइव हो, रिकॉर्डिंग नहीं चलनी, क्योंकि रिकॉर्डिंग में हुआ तो फिर वो आप कतर बेउंत करेंगे और फिर उसमें मजा नहीं आएगा। फाइनली व्हेन द डे अराइव्ड, I was told that Indian High Commissioner had fractured her left leg. She could not make it. But the next day I saw her in a reception and she was walking all right. The idea is that we have a lot of arguments. The world community, the international community knows that Jammu and Kashmir is a disputed area. Due to certain economic and political reasons, India is a huge, big market. India is a huge, big country. And it has been taken by the West, led by the United States, a counter element as far as China is concerned. So the stakes are high. And when the United States of America or the European Union or the Western countries, they think that India is our best bet, whatever it is doing, we can overlook that. But does that change reality? It does not. So arguments, अभी जो आपने हमारे जो अजीज हैं Ambassador Nadeem Riaz ने बड़े succinctly, very precisely, he has pointed out towards the legal, arguments which say that India has occupied illegally a disputed territory, 35A and 370, etc., etc. बात ये है जो आप सब लोगों के लिए, इससे पहले कि मैं Q&A के लिए I should open the house, मुझे ये बताइए दुनिया में कौन सा ऐसा मुल्क है, दुनिया में कौन सा ऐसा इलाका है जिसमें आप अपने ही लोगों को जो है वो कॉन्कर करते हैं, अपने ही लोगों को फतह करते हैं, अपने ही लोगों पे काबिज हैं। 6 लाख से ज्यादा सिक्योरिटी फोर्सेस हैं। हर तीसरे चौथे कश्मीरी के ऊपर एक फौजी है जिसके हाथ में बंदूक है। क्या आप अपने घर में ऐसा करते हैं? So coming back to that argument that it is an integral part, it is not an integral part. The world is watching. We are looking at you. And if you think that the Kashmir cause will die down and it will be over, you are absolutely mistaken, Mr. Narendra Modi. It is still alive. And all those who think that it's a matter between Pakistan and India, let me remind them that this dispute, Jammu and Kashmir, is an international dispute. It is an international dispute. It is the responsibility of the international community to find a way out, because the people are dying. They're talking about human rights. There is a human rights declaration, United Nations. Here what we are, looking at it, that humans are being, destroyed and vanished, and you are still talking about human rights. अभी हम शुरू करते हैं प्रेसिडेंट साहब की इजाजत से द Q&A सेशन। सवाल कीजिएगा, मुख्तसर कीजिएगा और उसका जवाब लीजिएगा। आप किसी भी पैनलिस्ट को कह सकते हैं कि जी ये सवाल मेरा मैडम अरूज के साथ है। इनको तो आपने टीवी पे बड़ा देखा होगा, जानी पहचानी शख्सियत हैं। उसके बाद डॉक्टर वलीद साहब हैं, उनका नाम आपको, एम्बेसडर नदीम रियाज हैं। मुझे कोई सवाल ना कीजिएगा, मेरी तबीयत ठीक नहीं है। बिस्मिल्लाह कीजिए जी। आप बेटा जी आप करें।
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zulfiqar Hussain. I am a student of International Relations from Quaid-e-Azam University, Islamabad. My question is directed to Dr. Waleed. So India has also tried to project that Pakistan too has changed the status of Pakistan occupied Kashmir, especially Gilgit-Baltistan. But practically no substantial efforts have been seen apart from just changing the political jargons like provisional status and things like that. So what is Pakistan's strategy regarding Pakistan occupied Kashmir, particularly Gilgit-Baltistan after 5 August? And secondly, China also has a stake in this region. And we saw last year that there was a skirmish in the Gulwan Valley and 20 soldiers were killed. So how has China been successful in projecting this issue internationally or not? That's my question. Thank you.
जी डॉक्टर साहब, नहीं अब वहीं से बोलें आप.
बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग है एक्चुअली. अगर आप यू हैव टू फर्स्ट अंडरस्टैंड what is the difference between the positions of India and Pakistan over the Kashmir. It is the main thing you have to understand. The Article 257 of Pakistan Constitution mentions that Kashmir is a disputed territory. Its final disposition will be done as per the United Nations resolutions. And Mr. Nadeem Saab clearly clarifies, but I will give you one more, I will add one more thing, as sir already clarified the legal position. Now what they did, there was a requirement of the concurrence of the assembly, state assembly, to remove any law from the Indian state. What they did amendment in Article 268. They removed Wazir Ala, Prime Minister, state, this minister who will approve that amendment. Then what they did, they put governor in that place. And it is ironic that you are doing the day-night robbery. You are removing an elected member, an elected Wazir Ala, and you are inducting a governor in that place. Then you are putting a resolution and sign it by the governor, who is a representative of the India. So it was how the Article 371 was removed. Now they themselves, if you will go the book of the A.G. Noorani has a comprehensive book written by the Oxford Press, and you will look that what was the systematic erosion from 1947 till 5th August 2019. और पाकिस्तान ने आज तक आर्टिकल 257 में कोई अमेंडमेंट नहीं लाई. और यही हमारी गारंटी है. What is the difference between the Pakistani position and the Indian position? Now interesting security matter को अब आपने, चूंकि my dear student is a scholar of the international relations, और जब इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस के कॉन्टोर्स में आप चीजों को देखते हैं तो हम कहते हैं दो चीजें, एक तो रियलिस्टिक प्रिज्म होता है और बाकी लिबरल और कंस्ट्रक्टिविज्म, उसकी कोई हैसियत नहीं है. तो जब आप रियलिस्टिक प्रिज्म में बात करते हैं तो फिर देन यू हैव टू बी वेरी रैशनल टू कंपेयर इंडिया एंड पाकिस्तान. तो आपने फिर ये देखना है कि इंडिया की, आप हमेशा एक चीज, जो भी क्वेश्चन मैंने 213 क्वेश्चन कलेक्टिव की, जो मेरी थीसिस के एंटी थीसिस थे, जिस तरह मेरे स्टूडेंट ने सवाल किया, it is not disputed because of the कुर्बानी or sacrifices of the we people. Sacrifices तो नागालैंड ने भी दी, sacrifices पंजाबियों ने हमसे ज्यादा दी, वो मार्शल रेस से थे. It is disputed because the presence of Pakistan as a state. और कोई वजह नहीं है. कुर्बानियां सिक्किम वालों ने हमसे ज्यादा दी. जब तक पाकिस्तान एज ए स्टेट इसको डिस्प्यूटेड रखती है तो ये डिस्प्यूट है, और जब पाकिस्तान कंप्रोमाइज करेगी, अब ये डिस्प्यूट है, तो हमारी कोई बात नहीं चलेगी, ना ही 9 और रियासतों में चली. सो यू मस्ट यू शैल हैव नो आयोटा ऑफ डाउट इन इट दैट इफ कश्मीर इज डिस्प्यूटेड, it is because of Pakistan, followed by our sacrifices and followed the commitment of the IIOJ&K people. You must be very much clear about it. इसमें कोई डाउट नहीं है. और अगर इस वक्त पाकिस्तान, इंडिया क्या चाहता है, वो चाहता है स्टेटस को, जो की तो पोजीशन वो नहीं लेना चाहता है पाकिस्तान से गिलगित या आजाद कश्मीर. वो कहता है कि ये जो बॉर्डर है, करंट बॉर्डर LOC, इसको परमानेंट करो. और मानता कौन नहीं है? मानता पाकिस्तान नहीं है, क्योंकि उसको ये नहीं मंजूर है. वो कहता है नहीं, आप उनको राइट दें, तब तक ये डिस्प्यूटेड है. सो एवरी स्टूडेंट, particularly the static studies, political science और international relations, उसको कंसिडर करना चाहिए. What is the difference between Pakistan position over Kashmir and Indian position over Kashmir. Thank you very much. I think I have done the question.
I hope Dr. Waleed has been able to successfully answer your question. Yes, beta.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Hamza, and I formerly studied at Namal University. I'm a graduate of international relations. My question is, why we people feel helpless while talking about Indian propagandas about Jammu and Kashmir? A few months back, we've seen that former President Azad Jammu and Kashmir, Sardar Masood, was appointed at US as an ambassador. Before his arrival at Washington, we've seen that Indian lobby had gets activated, and they made his appointment controversial. So my question is that what is the problem? Our lobby is weak or their lobby is very strong? My question is from all the whole panel. Anybody can answer.
Before any of the panelists, please keep standing. Before any of the analysts, try to answer this question. This is a question to you. Tell us, tell us, what is the problem? What do you think?
I think that their lobby is very strong. Why we feel very helpless?
No. This is your question, but what is your answer to this question?
Yes, my answer is that their lobby is very strong. Why we are not
so
strong?
If their lobby is strong, my dear friend, if their lobby is strong, what should we do? What should we do to counter that?
We should get strong our lobby. हमें भी lobbying करनी चाहिए ना, हमारी lobby भी strong होनी चाहिए. वहाँ पे हमें क्या problem है US के अंदर?
The question is for Madam Arooj. Yes. Thank you very much. Have a seat.
Thank you so much. It's really a very pertinent question, and I would love to answer you, since you have talked about the strengthening lobbying, working for the cause of Kashmir, or to save the cause of Kashmir. I have seen many international lobbying, but working for the cause of Kashmir, but with the support of Indian government and Indian institutions. I recently have visited Chatham House, London, and there I was surprised to see the huge lobby, Indian lobby, working for the cause of their own narrative, just to establish that their action of abrogation of Article 370 was very much legit and legal. So there I really missed Pakistani diaspora, the Pakistani lobby working to save our own narrative. It was not about the cause, it was about the saving the narrative of Pakistani side of government, that what we actually think and what we should do. So I think with the support of media, electronic media, with the support of social media, and social media means every one of us. Like, because if we carry this gadget, so it means we are producer or generator of some content and some narrative. So we must strong our lobbies, as you have rightly mentioned. But other than London, I have never seen any Pakistani-based or Pakistani-supported lobby working in Canada for the cause of Kashmir, or in America, or in Europe, because their Indian lobbies are stronger than our lobbies. And if you talk about, you will be shunned down. They will snub you. And if you post something on social media, all of a sudden you will receive email or a notification alert that you are hurting the sentiments of community, because they think that whatever India is doing and their community is telling to people is very much legal and legit. But if we talk about the rights of Kashmiri people, then it's like hurting sentiments of the people. So there are dual, standards of the international world, and I'm still surprised what is their perspective to see this issue, because they are supporting Indian narrative. They are not supporting Pakistani narrative. And why? Why? Because I am into human rights, being attorney at law as well. Why? Because they think that they have the support of their own people for this cause. And unfortunately, we don't have any support of our own people. to lit the fire to keep this issue alive. So this is my answer to you. I hope everyone, time and again, I suggest that it's our responsibility. It's not responsibility of any think tank or any state-supported organization. It's us who matters. Thank you.
Brilliant reply. Brilliant reply. Now, before I ask or request Ambassador Nadeem Riaz to add into what Madam Arooj has said, मेरा दुख ये है मैं अपने साथियों जैसा नहीं. मेरा दुख ये है मैं अपने साथियों जैसा नहीं. मैं बहादुर हूं मगर हारे हुए लश्कर में हूं. The problem is not the enemy outside. The problem is the enemy inside. And that is what we have to be mindful. Sir.
When you talk about the various lobbies, you see, lobbies don't get created overnight. You have to work towards a particular goal. And especially if you look at the United States, the Indians have deep inroads into the United States think tanks. They are employed as interns with the State Department. They are employed as workers with the senators. So obviously their outreach is much more than us. Unfortunately, we do not do that. We have Qaid-e-Azam chairs, we have Allama Iqbal chairs in some major universities. And with deep regret, I have to tell you that 14 of them, when I last checked, were not occupied. So if your outreach posts are not occupied by people who will project the narrative of Pakistan, obviously we should not complain. Then whenever there is a vacuum, other people come in and they are able to project their views and their ideas.
Thank you. The last two questions, and before I, move to the last two questions, while this question was being answered, I was just wondering, when the ISPR presents the dossier on Indian state-sponsored terrorism, some of the segments in Pakistan, they make fun of it. And talking about the propaganda and, all those taranas and songs, Milli Naghmas, when the ISPR produced that, those segments make fun of it. They say that is army ka kya karna hai? Ye jaye na jaake Kashmir le. Absolutely wrong. Logical fallacy. The territorial, my dear, youngsters, please remember certain basic facts. The territorial disputes, it takes time to address them. It takes time to resolve them. For instance, Palestine issue. How many of you know that there is a territorial dispute between Spain and the United Kingdom? Gibraltar. You must have heard about Nagorno-Karabakh. Territorial disputes are not like this. कि जी ऐथों बड़ी गंत चले गए तो उसके बाद अल्लाह ला खैर सला खुद भी गए वो भी गए. We are talking about two nuclear states. This is a serious matter. But उन लोगों पे हंसी आती है जो मजाक उड़ाते हैं इतने सीरियस सब्जेक्ट्स का, और सोशल मीडिया पे इस तरह की बातें करके वो समझते हैं कि वो कोई नॉम चॉम्स्की बन गए हैं, आइंस्टाइन बन गए. आप अगर पाकिस्तानी हैं तो पाकिस्तानी होने का सबूत दीजिए. मुझे पता है इंडिया में क्या क्या अच्छी बातें हो रही हैं, लेकिन क्या इंडियंस ने कभी पाकिस्तान की अच्छी बात की है? यहां पे कुछ ऐसे लोग हैं, मैं उनको जानता हूं, जिनको पता नहीं पैसा मिलता है या वो हज़ उठाते हैं पाकिस्तान के बारे में गलत बातें करके. उनसे दरखास्त है कि कम से कम अच्छी बातें भी कर लें. करते रहें आप पाकिस्तान के बारे में बातें, कुछ अच्छी बातें भी कर लें. और मैं एक पाकिस्तानी हूं और इत्तेफाक से कश्मीरी हूं. मुझे किसी भी फोरम पे ले जाइए आप, मुझे सोते में अचानक जगा दीजिए और पूछिए पाकिस्तान, मैं कहूंगा जिंदाबाद। वो कमिटमेंट नहीं है। पूरा घर खूबसूरत है, एक ईंट नहीं है, और सारे के सारे ये जो प्रोपोगेंडिस्ट हैं ये देख रहे जी, देखें जी ईंट नहीं है, और बाकी घर भी तो देखो। और अगर वो ईंट नहीं है, खाली है वो जगह, तो लगा क्यों नहीं देते? खुद बढ़ के वो ईंट लगा क्यों नहीं देते? लास्ट 2 क्वेश्चंस। जी बेटा।
Assalamu alaikum. I am Malik Saad Ahmed from National Defense University, a student of BS International Relations. My question is from Sir Waleed. Sir, once I have a comment and then I'll have my question. Once I was having a discussion with my friend, a colleague of mine from Kotli, border area of Kashmir. So he was talking about that the article 365 or 370 and the other 36A, 35A. These two articles were a reaction to Pakistan's जो पाकिस्तान ने किया गिलगित और कश्मीर को डिवाइड करके। तो
I gave you the background of all the articles.
Yes sir. Yes sir.
I hope you listened.
Yes sir, I did. So उन्होंने ये कहा कि सर कि वो जो है वो इसका एक रिएक्शन में था, मतलब पहले पाकिस्तान ने ये काम किया, उसके बाद जाके ये बात हुई। उसके बाद एक ये है कि yes please sir, just listen. So the next thing was about JKLF and the third narrative about Kashmir being an independent state. Sir, you were saying that you were from the same area. So what do you think, what the common public think about the third narrative of Kashmir being independent of both Pakistan and India? This is my question, sir.
बैठिए जी डॉक्टर साहब।
इनके असल में 2 क्वेश्चन है सर। एक ये है कि पहले आपको जब आप कश्मीर पढ़ोगे तो एक किताब, 3 किताबें आपको पढ़नी जरूरी है, तब आप एज ए स्कॉलर इंसाफ करोगे कश्मीर के साथ, वरना आपका एक डायमेंशन जरूर पता है। जिस तरह सर ने लीगल डायमेंशन की बात की, मैडम ने मीडिया डायमेंशन की बात की, सर ने इंटरनेशनल डायमेंशन, हर एक चीज के बहुत सारे डायमेंशन होते हैं, और जो ट्रू स्कॉलर होता है वो सारे डायमेंशन पढ़ता है। आप 3 बुक्स पढ़ें जरूर। इफ यू आर रियली क्यूरियस दैट यू हैव टू डिग द आंसर ऑफ दिस क्वेश्चन व्हाट हैपेंड। एक शेख अब्दुल्ला की जो प्रो इंडिया था उसकी आतिश चिनार, एक दूसरा जो प्रो पाकिस्तानी था सरदार इब्राहिम, उसकी द सागा, और एक इन बिटवीन भी एक किताब पढ़ें, कश्मीर कॉन्फ्लिक्ट बाय एलिस्टर लैम्ब। ये 3 किताबें आप पढ़ोगे तो आपको एक आंसर मिलेगा। आंसर ये मिलेगा कि इंडिपेंडेंट स्टेट तो जवाहरलाल नेहरू ने कहा था कश्मीरियों को दे देंगे, ये जवाहरलाल नेहरू का कंसेप्ट, तो कश्मीरियों ने डिनाई नहीं किया। उसमें हुआ क्या, 27 अक्टूबर 3 दिन का मामला होता है, इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस का आप स्टूडेंट है, वन हु कंट्रोल्स द ज्योग्राफी कंट्रोल्स द बोथ हिस्ट्री एंड द पीपल, दे कंट्रोल द ज्योग्राफी इन 3 days। 27 अक्टूबर 1947 से लेकर 29 अक्टूबर तक जो यहाँ से रेबेलियन था, आज़ाद कश्मीर के मुजाहिदीन और सपोर्टेड बाय द अदर पीपल फ्रॉम नॉर्थ, उनको ब्लॉक किया गया, वो श्रीनगर एयरपोर्ट पे नहीं पहुंचे, और 111 ब्रिगेड इंडिया की वहां पहुंच गई। नारा था हम आपको इंडिपेंडेंट कश्मीर देंगे, नारा था, शेख अब्दुल्ला को बनाया गया, मैंने पहले भी कहा वजीर आजम बनाया गया, और सदर रियासत हरी सिंह को बनाया गया। दिस वॉज जस्ट टू डिवाइड द पीपल बिटवीन 2 sections। असल चीज बोथ केसेस में दे हैव टू विथड्रॉ फ्रॉम द कश्मीर टेरिटरी, वेदर इट इज इंडिपेंडेंट स्टेट और एक्सेशन टू पाकिस्तान। नाउ व्हाट इज द डिफरेंस बिटवीन 2 थिंग्स, अच्छी तरह से समझे। जब मैंने उसमें भी कहा सक्सेशनिस्ट मूवमेंट और सेपरेटिस्ट मूवमेंट में क्या फर्क है, सक्सेशनिस्ट मूवमेंट तो पंजाब में भी थी, बलूचिस्तान में भी सेपरेटिस्ट मूवमेंट चले, बट व्हाट इज डिफरेंस, व्हाई बलूचिस्तान इज एन इंटीग्रल पार्ट ऑफ इंडिया and same Punjab is an integral part of Western Punjab of India। हमें कोई integral part of Balochistan पाकिस्तान का और इंडिया का पंजाब, फर्क क्या है? हमारे में फर्क है जो 5 जनवरी की यूनाइटेड नेशंस की रेजोल्यूशन है वो इसको लेजिटिमेट बनाता है। जब आप मेरी मूवमेंट और अदर जितनी भी रेबेलियंस मूवमेंट चले हैं उसमें डिफरेंस क्या है? डिफरेंस ये है कि मेरे रेजोल्यूशन पे यूनाइटेड नेशंस की रेजोल्यूशन पास हुई है, उसमें यह तय हुआ है कि ये डिस्प्यूटेड टेरिटरी है और इनको राइट टू सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन दिया जाए। यह ऐसी बात है कि मैं थाने में अपने किसी केस का एफआईआर दर्ज करता हूं, एफआईआर में लिखा हुआ है कि आपको राइट टू सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन दिया जाए। अगर राइट टू सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन दिया जाए, आपको किसने ये कहा? गिलानी साहब ने खुद कहा। और उसमें जब राइट टू सेल्फ डिटर्मिनेशन की बात कर रहे हैं वहां तो हिंदू कहेगा इंडिया, हम तो कहते हैं कहें, हमें क्या उसमें परेशानी है? सिख में से भी कुछ कहेंगे हम इंडिया के साथ जाना चाहे। मैं सिर्फ मुसलमानों की राइट की वहां बात नहीं कर रहा हूं, मैं हिंदुओं को सिखों को भी राइट देना चाहता हूं इंडिया की बात करें, लेकिन जब वो मेजॉरिटी तय करेगी वो हो जाएगा। अब क्या होता है इस नारे पे डिवाइड करने पे? जब मैंने आपको कहा साम दाम दंड एंड भेद, अगर आप इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस के स्टूडेंट हैं तो आप रियलिस्ट ऑर्डर को समझे, फिर आपको चाकिया पढ़ना होगा, फिर आपको अर्थशास्त्र भी पढ़ना होगा, फिर आपको पता होना चाहिए क्लासिक रियलिज्म और कंस्ट्रक्टिविज्म में क्या फर्क है। जब आप क्लासिक रियलिस्ट बनेंगे फिर आपको इंडिया की चालों का पता चलेगा। चालों का जब आपको पता चलेगा तो उसकी मेन चाल ये होती है वो डिवाइड करें। अब मुझे क्या प्रॉब्लम है कि मैं 4 प्रोविंसेस में क्रिएट करता हूं रिपल्स। इंडिया 26 स्टेट्स लेकर 9 यूनियन टेरिटरीज के साथ एक है। अमेरिका 52 स्टेट्स के साथ, कैलिफोर्निया सबसे ज्यादा जनरेट करती है रेवेन्यू, वो एक है। नेटो अकेला कोई डिफेंड नहीं कर सकता अपनी टेरिटरी को, नेटो को बनाना पड़ता है, सारा यूरोपियन यूनियन को मिला के कलेक्टिवली डिफेंस कर रहा है। और मैं 2 की मस्जिद लेके बैठ जाऊं, मैं अलग हूं। तो मेरे भाई जो इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन स्टूडेंट है, कम से कम जो स्ट्रेटेजिक स्टडीज के स्टूडेंट है, जो पॉलिटिकल साइंस के स्टूडेंट, वो समझें स्टेट कैसे वर्क करती है जियो पॉलिटिकल और जियो स्ट्रेटेजिक ऑर्डर में। एक ही चीज है, इफ यू हैव अ पावर you will sustain, if you don't have a power you will perish, simple one rule। और वही जब आप पाकिस्तान की बात कर रहे हैं तो आप पाकिस्तान को इंडिया के साथ फॉरेन कंपेयर कर रहे हैं। पाकिस्तान की डबल करेंसी थी 1947, 1948, 1949, हमारा करेंसी इंडिया और एक पाकिस्तान में एक ही था, नंबर 1। नंबर 2, हमारी आर्मी का भी एक ही 53 तक एक ही चीफ ऑफ आर्मी स्टाफ वो अंग्रेज था। हमारे पास कोई दारुल खुलाफा नहीं था। पाकिस्तान को इंडिया के पास सब कुछ था, हमारे पास कोई स्टील मिल नहीं थी। यह आपने 47 से जब सर ने कहा कि आप कुछ पॉजिटिव भी बातें करें जिसको हम थीसिस कहते हैं, आप एंटी थीसिस भी करें, क्रिटिसिज्म भी करें, फिर आपको रियलिटी ये सामने आ जाएगी। पाकिस्तान ने डिस्पाइट ऑफ दिस ऑल ऑड्स, डिस्पाइट ऑफ एनिमी, डिस्पाइट ऑफ वल्नरेबिलिटी इन आवर एंटायर बॉर्डर्स फ्रॉम साउथ टू ईस्ट, वी डिड अ बेटर एज कंपेयर टू इंडिया। मैं ये आपको गारंटी के साथ एज एन स्कॉलरलिस्ट, आप मुझसे इस पे बहस करें, मैं डेटा एनालिसिस के साथ आपको ये प्रूव करूंगा कि पाकिस्तान डिड बेटर, डिस्पाइट कि हमारे कुछ फॉल्ट लाइन्स है, ग्रे एरियाज है। मुझे लगता है आपको आंसर मिला हो।
इसमें एक चीज बड़ी, मुझे अभी ये बात कर रहे थे, यस इट विल बी लास्ट क्वेश्चन, योर्स विल बी द लास्ट क्वेश्चन। हम लोग आजकल जब ये सेल फोन पकड़ते हैं और उसमें कोई चीज आए, कोई हमें अपील करे, तो वी जस्ट फॉरवर्ड इट। मेरे नबी ने फरमाया उस शख्स के झूठा होने में क्या कसर बाकी रह गई जिसने सुनी सुनाई बात बगैर तहकीक के आगे पहुंचा दी। अगर आप मुसलमान हैं तो मेरे इस नबी की बात को बाद में भी सोचिएगा। ये आज से तकरीबन 1500 साल पहले कही गई बात है। उस वक्त इंटरनेट वगैरह नाम की कोई चीज नहीं थी। जब आपको कोई ये कहता है कि इंडिया ने 35A और 370 किया इसलिए कि पाकिस्तान ने फलां फलां फलां, तो थोड़ा सा रुक जाइए, कम से कम थोड़ी तहकीक कर लीजिए। जब तहकीक करेंगे पता लगेगा कि ये तो 18 साल पहले फैसला हुआ था, वक्त का इंतजार किया जा रहा था, और ये इरादे तो बड़ी पहले से थे, वक्त मिल गया उनको और उन्होंने ये कर दिया। तो गुजारिश आप सबसे नौजवानों से ये है कि फॉरवर्ड करने से पहले और उस पे यकीन करने से पहले जो आपके सामने है थोड़ी सी तहकीक कर लीजिए। और अगर आपको उसमें लगता है कि 50-50 है, 50 हिंदुस्तान 50 पाकिस्तान, तो बहैसियत पाकिस्तानी के 1 नंबर पाकिस्तान को ग्रेस मार्क दे दीजिए, आपकी बड़ी मेहरबानी होगी। लास्ट क्वेश्चन।
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Bazil Awan and I'm currently studying social development and policy in Habib University, Karachi. I have a very brief question. It will be directed towards all of the panelists. There was a mention of the Indian discourse regarding the Kashmir issue in the international community, and Dr. Waleed also mentioned that Pakistan urgently needs to shift the narrative. How would you like to make some recommendations for Pakistan in order to effectively shift the narrative in regarding Kashmir issue in the international community? Thank you.
मेरे लिए आप बड़ा इंटरेस्टिंग सवाल है। जब हमने रेबेलियन मूव की ना, आर्मड रेबेलियन, मैं 7 साल उसका हिस्सा रहा, फिर उसके पॉलिटिकल मूवमेंट रहा, फिर उसके डिप्लोमेटिक कंट्रोल्स में रहा। मेरे लिए डायस्पोरा इस वक्त बड़ा कीमती है। हमारा 10-15 लाख लोग अब्रॉड है, उसको हम कैसे मूव करेंगे। नंबर 1 कि मैंने ऑल्टरनेटिव कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी कैसे डेवलप करूंगी जब प्रेशर आ जाता है, और इवन पाकिस्तान के स्टेट को भी 9/11 के बाद प्रेशर है। मैं आपको ये बता दूं, क्योंकि मैं उस वक्त मैं एनी गवाह हूं, जिसको आप प्राइमरी डाटा कहते हैं, और प्राइमरी डाटा में भी मैंने किसी से नहीं दिया, मेरा अपनी आंखों से देखा हुआ। वो मिलिट्रली भी लॉस कर गए थे 1994 तक। यानी डिप्टी कमिश्नर और एसपी हमसे पूछता था क्या हम मूव करेंगे एक स्टेशन से लेकर दूसरे स्टेशन तक। कि मैं आई वाज कमांडिंग, हमसे पूछते थे कहीं जाना है हमने। यानी इतना वो हैवक, उनको परेशानी हुई थी कि अब हम कश्मीर को लॉस कर गए। लेकिन हुआ क्या, बदकिस्मती से हुआ 9/11। ये जो मेरा बच्चा कर रहा है, नैरेटिव शिफ्ट हो गया। जो कल का हुर्रियत पसंद था, सुबह का वो टेररिस्ट बन गया। अब उसमें भी मैडम यहाँ मौजूद है, क्योंकि जब आप इंटरनेशनल नैरेटिव की बात कर रहे हैं तो आपको वसाइल चाहिए। तो आपने अपने वसाइल में क्या किया, उसमें बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं। जिस तरह सर एम्बेसडर नदीम और सर ने कहा, हम बहुत कुछ कर सकते हैं। लेकिन देयर इज अ मेगा डिफरेंस सर, $72 बिलियन, $72 बिलियन मिलिट्री बजट है इंडिया का, और हमारा टोटल बजट है $47 बिलियन। उसमें आप $12 बिलियन आर्मी को देते हैं।
ये डॉक्टर साहब 72 बिलियन है।
जी सर, बिलियन है।
और इस तरफ मिलियंस में है।
जी सर, नहीं, इस तरफ हमारा 12 बिलियन है।
यानी
हमारा टोटल 47
कोई मुकाबला ही नहीं है।
नहीं सर, टोटल 47 है कौमी बजट।
ठीक,
उसमें आप आर्मी को देते हैं 12।
असल में वो मिलियन और बिलियन जो है ना, वो मिक्स हो जाता है।
सर एक सेकंड, बस उन्होंने कश्मीर फाइल्स बना दी। मैंने रिफा यूनिवर्सिटी का मीडिया डिपार्टमेंट एंगेज किया। मैडम यहाँ हमारे लिए बड़ी रहमत है, बिकॉज शी इज एन एक्सपर्ट ऑफ मीडिया। तो जो कश्मीर फाइल्स पे पैसे लगे थे वो 72 करोड़ इंडिया लगे थे। तो उन्होंने कहा कि अगर हम कश्मीर फाइल्स पे कनन पोशपोरा का एक फिल्म बना दें तो हमें कम से कम 20 करोड़ रुपया चाहिए। तो ये जो जिस तरह मैडम ने कहा, और फिर कश्मीर फाइल्स ने 100 करोड़ की, 100 अरब रुपए की बिजनेस की, क्योंकि वो टोटली काउंटर था नैरेटिव कश्मीरी मुसलमानों के खिलाफ। और चूंकि उसको बाय किया इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने। अब जब सर ने कहा कि मेरा, जिस तरह ये मेरे बच्चे हैं जिनको क्यूरियस है कश्मीर के मुतालिक, सवाल करते हैं, अपने आप को क्लियर पर करते हैं, हम सबको कुछ मिल के करना चाहिए। और वो मिल के कैसे करेंगे? आप हर एक जो आर्टिकल लिखता है इंडिया के टॉप, इंडियन एक्सप्रेस है, ट्रिब्यून है, हिंदुस्तान टाइम्स है, नेट पे आता है, उसको जवाब दे दें। आप देखें यहाँ का अगर कोई मैडम बात करती है कि यूट्यूब पे, तो सैकड़ों इंडियंस उसको अगेंस्ट जवाब देते हैं। तो ये तो आपका बैटल फील्ड है। इस बैटल फील्ड को एज एन ट्रू पैट्रियट ऑफ कश्मीर एंड पाकिस्तान, ट्रू फ्रीडम फाइटर या फ्रीडम लवर, आपको ये मीडियम इस्तेमाल करना चाहिए। ये आप इमीडिएटली कर सकते हैं, इसमें कोई दूसरी राय नहीं है।
थैंक यू वेरी मच डॉक्टर
इंडिया
साहब।
को समझने के लिए अपने दुश्मन को बेहतरीन तौर समझे। वो मकार है, वो कहेगा मैं मारा गया, मेरे बच्चे मारे गए, और एंटरली वो 9 लाख हुए। उसको समझना इतना आसान नहीं है मेरी जान। It's very difficult.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sahib. And now we are going to conclude this very informative and fruitful session. Oh, you have a question, sir? Please.
सर मेरा क्वेश्चन आपसे है, डिलिमिटेशन कमीशन की जो रिपोर्ट प्रेसिडेंट साहब ने इशारा किया जिसकी तरफ, उसमें जम्मू की जो है वो 6 सीटें बढ़ जाएंगी और वैली की जो है वो 1 सीट बढ़ेगी। इसका फ्यूचर इलेक्शन में क्या इम्पैक्ट आएगा, ये तो आपसे सवाल है सर। दूसरा मेरा आपको जवाब ये है, थर्ड ऑप्शन कोई ऑप्शन नहीं। बिटवीन इंडिया एंड पाकिस्तान देयर आर ओनली 2 ऑप्शन, either joining with India or joining with Pakistan. Then we have Article 257, which clearly spells out of the future relationship that we are going to have with the people of Kashmir in according to their wishes. Thank you.
सर थैंक यू सर। असल में सर ये हुआ कि 46 पहले था जम्मू का, तो 57 था वैली का। जब उन्होंने 6 सीटें जम्मू को दी तो वो शिफ्ट हो जाएगा कि वो जो हमारा बैलेंस था स्टेट असेंबली में वो खत्म हो जाएगा। नंबर 1। नंबर 2 सर, जो उन्होंने जम्मू को सीटें बुलाई वो शेड्यूल कास्ट और शेड्यूल ट्राइब्स को बढ़ा दी। उसमें ये हो गया कि कश्मीरी या जम्मू वाला वो कोई नहीं लड़ेगा। और ये जो शेड्यूल कास्ट शेड्यूल ट्राइब है, ये वो शरणार्थी है जो बांग्लादेश से आए हैं, जो आगे पीछे आए हैं, उसमें कश्मीरी कंटेस्ट नहीं किया। ये ऑलरेडी बीजेपी के कंट्रोल में है। अब वो ये सर क्या करेंगे फ्यूचर में, जिस तरह उन्होंने ये अभी इलीगल सर्टिफिकेट किया, सर्टिफाई किया डिलिमिटेशन के प्रोसेस को, आर्टिकल 268 को गवर्नर से साइन कराया। एक तो ये कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंट असेंबली से इसके हक में रेजोल्यूशन मूव करेंगे और इसको कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल जो है वो दे देंगे एक राइट। दूसरा, ये चीफ मिनिस्टर पहले मरहले में चेंज करेंगे उसको बीजेपी का चीफ मिनिस्टर। तो जो थोड़ी सी मेरी स्पेस थी हुर्रियत में, मसलन थाने का मेरा SHO है, तो मुझे थोड़ा सा इंडियन आर्मी मेरे घर में घुस गई तो मैं थाने में जाता था, थोड़ा सा वो रिलैक्स देता था, वो सब खत्म हो जाएगा। क्योंकि उन्होंने वहाँ सारे अब डिप्टी कमिश्नर, SPs, SHOs, वो ग्रास रूट लेवल पे जो रेजिस्टेंस थी आम कश्मीरियों को, उसको वो खत्म करना चाहते हैं। ये उनका फाइनल असॉल्ट है कश्मीर की रेजिस्टेंस पे। लेकिन इसमें सर ये है कि मेरा एक पेपर है, इसमें रेजिस्टेंस, रेजिलियंस एंड फियर फैक्टर। उसमें मैंने 7,500 कश्मीरी यूथ जो ऑक्यूपेशन में इंडियन ऑक्यूपेशन, उनका इंटरव्यू किया। उसमें 2 चीजें इंडिया का जो टारगेट करता है, एक पाकिस्तान फैक्टर, जिस तरह अक्सर क्वेश्चन यहाँ उठते हैं, उनको पाकिस्तान फैक्टर से प्रॉब्लम है। दूसरा, फेथ फैक्टर से प्रॉब्लम है। उनका जो मिलिट्री असॉल्ट है, जो मीडिया असॉल्ट है, जो एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव असॉल्ट है और लीगल असॉल्ट है, वो दोनों 2 फैक्टर्स पे सिर्फ है। एक फेथ फैक्टर पे, दूसरा पाकिस्तान फैक्टर पे। वंस पाकिस्तान फैक्टर इज न्यूट्रलाइज्ड, ये दोनों साइड अब क्वेश्चन आ रहे हैं यहाँ से भी, तो कश्मीर मसला उसी तरह हल हो गया जिस तरह पंजाब का हल हो गया, मिलिटेंसी वो जो पंजाब के कंटोर्स में खत्म हो गया। अब इस वक्त जो मकबूजा कश्मीर की तहरीक है वो 100% इंडिजिनस है, क्योंकि उन्होंने जो थोड़ा पोरस था बॉर्डर, वो उन्होंने टोटल 100% सीमेंट सील कर दिया। अब यहाँ से कोई आना जाना नहीं है, पिछले 9 साल में कोई आना जाना नहीं है। वो जब थोड़ी बहुत रेजिस्टेंस है वो इंडिजिनसली वो यूथ कर रहा है, जिसको छोटी मोटी स्पेस ब्लॉक लेवल पे है, उस ब्लॉक लेवल पे उस स्पेस को कैप करना चाहते हैं, चीफ मिनिस्टर अपना लाना चाहते हैं, ताकि कोई स्पेस, पॉलिटिकल स्पेस ना दिया जाए। वैसे उन्होंने हुर्रियत लीडर, जो टॉप हुर्रियत लीडरशिप है, उनको वो श्रीनगर सेंट्रल जेल में जब रहते थे तो थोड़ा सा उनका राब्ता भी रहता था, उनको उठा के दिल्ली सेंट्रल जेल, तिहाड़ सेंट्रल जेल में भेजा, ताकि जो वो वैक्यूम था लीडरशिप और मैसेज के दरमियान वो बहुत ज्यादा इंक्रीज किया गया। लेकिन मेरा खर्च है कि हाइब्रिड आ गया है। अब वो क्वेश्चन जो इंडिया में किसी ने करने थे वो पाकिस्तान में भी आ रहे हैं। इट मीन्स समथिंग इज वर्किंग।
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Waleed Rasool and Madam Aruj Sayami. And on behalf of IRS and the President of IRS, Ambassador Nadeem Riaz, I have the privilege to express my deep gratitude for all of you to have been here and participated in this wonderful discussion. I hope we are a little more informed than we were before entering this hall. And as for India and Kashmir, अब हवाएं ही करेंगी रोशनी का फैसला। अब हवाएं ही करेंगी रोशनी का फैसला, जिस दिए में जान होगी वो दिया रह जाएगा। Thank you very much.